We're live now.
Welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show on civic education and global issue. Today is October 31st, and we are blessed to have Youth Against Environmental Degradation here with us today to talk about environment, their work, and what they do day to day to help us improve the environment. So our guests, we have Degradation and Ibrahim Manjang. Degradation is the PRO and Ibrahim Manjang is the Vice President. The President, Bakari Jane, is joining us soon, and we're gonna start the discussion right off the back. Welcome, guys. I have Sam Sise, co-host in our show, New Gambia Platform Show, and then Famara Drame, co-host. They both live in the United States. Thank you, guys. I am your host, Mahmoud Sawane. Welcome. So, Mr. Manjan and Day, can you go and just open up the floor? And then we can have our expert here, Famara, and myself and Sam will be listening and then having some comments and questions for you guys. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for the time, but I think I give the time to give us a brief introduction of Youth Against Environmental Degradation. Lejata, yeah, can you do that?
Day, are you there? And guys, you can share this to groups, okay? They and Ibrahim, you can say to your followers the show. I'll put the link on the chat. Day, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim and Mr. Momodu Sawane and all other hosts in there. Youth Against Environmental Degradation is an organization that was set by youth, and I can say by the president, Bakari Jigani, who has voluntarily come out and set up youths in working together on how to keep the environment clean. Our main job is to keep the beach sites clean and any other part of the country. That is, even if we are not called, we will voluntarily do it. And also we do tree plantings and also how to teach people or youths on how to be able to keep their environment clean and also how to plant trees if they really need our assistance. So that is all we do. Though we are not well known, but we have been trying our best to do what is expected from us.
Excellent. Yeah, being well known is not the point. I guess what is important is like having commitment and dedication to do and love for what you're doing. Yeah, especially if it has to do with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mr. Ibrahim.
Yeah, thank you, Lejata. She has hit the nail on the head. Youth Against Environmental Degradation is basically about volunteerism in making sure the environment is free from pollutants, in making sure that our resources are well protected, and in also contributing our quota in reducing climate change effects and other adverse effects of climate change on our environment and our lives as well. That's why we engage in cleaning exercises, tree planting, and even giving advice to people as well on environmental matters. So basically we do it voluntarily. We can do it under the funding and all the other things are mostly done by us, but thank God against environmental degradation. And currently our biggest partner in this crusade is Official, And we are very much grateful with their effort, as well as Austria Consulate, whose contribution in making sure that the objectives of Youth Against Environmental Degradation is realized is just excellent.
Okay, thank you. Is he finished or is interrupted? Yeah, hello? Ibrahim, are you finished or you are interrupted?
Yes, I was interrupted a bit, but I think yeah, basically that's it. That's it. I said we are very much grateful to FSL, our biggest partner, you know, whose contribution currently is really immense, and Australia Consulate. We are really grateful to the President of Youth Against Environmental Degradation, the brainchild of the organization, you know, very vibrant, very active, and very much concerned about the environment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Mfamara and Sam, your turn to come in. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Once again, we are glad to have the representatives of the Youth Against Environmental Degradation on our show today. Environment is everyone's business. Without healthy environment, we cannot have healthy body, and we cannot have healthy mind. So having youths to set up an organization like this and contributing their part in the national development is highly commendable. And then we appreciate all what they are doing. And I hope you know, they will continue to do what they do, even in their schools. And I'm glad that they're all teachers. So we expect that whatever schools that they are teaching, they will try to inculcate, you know, into the minds of the students they are teaching, you know, to look after the environment, because you know, we need clean air. We need to have you know, to plant more trees, you know, so that you know, the effects of climate change is reduced, but at the same time also, you know, increase our resilience to the impacts of climate change as well, because we have seen recently natural disasters are very frequent in the Gambia, especially during the rainy season. And partly is because of environmental degradation. And this is what they are fighting now. They say the Youth Against Environmental Degradation, so which is very, very commendable, because environmental degradation is about destroying our forests, is about, you know, destroying the habitats of our wildlife and endangered species. You know, environmental degradation is all about, you know, mining responsibly in the coastal areas so that the habitat can stay intact and people don't have to feel the impact of those environmental degradation. So I'll thank you so much. I want to start with Day. Day, can you briefly tell us, you know, one or two activities that you have done recently since you guys, you know, started your organization? You know, what are the basic? I know you say you do tree planting. Where did you do tree planting? And have you engaged in beach cleanup exercise, which I also heard from your introduction? So can you specifically tell us, you know, what are some of the activities you've done recently, and whether it is your organization or did you do it in collaboration with other organizations and stuff like that? So that will give us, you know, an insight of some of the activities you have done recently.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Farmer. Yeah, Youth Against Environmental Degradation. We have done activities, the tree planting, we have done it in Dankunku just recently. I think it was on the 27th of September, if I am right. Yeah, and also we have done beach cleaning, which we do in this beach, how to call it, Coco Ocean. And we have also cleaned up Kasume maybe 2 or 3 times. And we aim to clean the main hospital in Banjul, but unfortunately, it was not able to hold on. Yeah, because we went there, so the PRO said it was communicated to the head. It was too late, so we were not able to do it. But our intention was to clean the main hospital as well.
Thank you. So do you do this in collaboration with other environmental NGOs, community-based organizations, or maybe you only do it within the institutions that you want to do those exercises with? Like with the tree planting you did in Dankunku, did you do with the area council in that area, or did you do it with the VDC or the youth organization in Dankunku?
Well, we did it alone, except with the help of the students of Dankunku and also their teachers.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the cleaning exercise, the beach, did you do that also on the coastline, you said, on the beach side?
Beach side, we do it in the beach side.
Okay, was it the international coastal cleanup or just a 1 week, it was a weekend activity of the cleanup exercise?
It was a weekend activity, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're getting involved into that too as well. So that's a very important activity because Gambia depends a lot on tourism, and lots of tourists coming into our country wants to utilize our coastline. So when they find it very dirty, I mean, it's not very good. So I'm glad that we youth activities are, involved in that. And then the International Coastal Cleanup, which is usually celebrated the third Saturday of September every year. Interestingly, I introduced this to Gambia in 2011, and now it's becoming something that National Environment Agency took up, because I introduced it when I was at the NEA. I think they sent me a study tour to the United States. I came to participate in one of climate change short course here at the University of Rhode Island. And when I came over here for the 3 weeks or 4 weeks program, they took us to one of the area called, there's an NGO called Save the Bay. They are in Rhode Island. And then one of those activities that they do is the coastal cleanup. People do coastal cleanup in the Gambia, but to mark the day itself, the International Coastal Cleanup was something that I introduced in the Gambia in 2011. So, and now it's so popular, and I'm glad to hear that National Environment Agency championed that, because when I came back, I introduced it to the director. We first did it, and it was successful. We target the Barra fish landing site, and from Barra all the way down to Kartong. We involved the soldiers, we involved the fishermen, we involved the local communities on the coastline. So it was something very successful. And then later on, other organizations took over. The area councils were also, because Gambia Ports Authority helped us in the first year. They donated some, clean materials, and we wrote to the Gambia National Army to give us some men. So the Navy were in charge of around the Banjo and the Ports Authority. And in Bakau, the Fajara Barracks also sending their men at the fisheries site in Bakau. Then Brufut, we have the fire service and the Tangier as well, and Kartong all the way down. So it was very, very successful event. And now it has become one of the popular events now that every organization, especially the environmental organizations, are celebrating in the Gambia. So I'm glad that you are also doing that part. And then I'll encourage you to think about, signing an MOU with the National Environment Agency if you have not done it yet. And also Department of Forestry, since you are interested in environmental degradation, and which includes tree planting. And if you have that, and then also Parks and Wildlife. And if you do that, because they do have some projects sometimes, and in those projects, they do have some, kind of support or, funding available to work with NGOs and CBOs, especially in terms of advocacy and environmental sensitization. So they could help you with that. And also United Nations Development Program, UNDP, also have small grant funds, which is available to NGOs only and the CBOs. And one time I was chair in one of those selection committee of the UNDP, small grant fund. So we look at various applications from various NGOs and community-based organizations that wants to do various work in their localities, whether it's climate change, biodiversity conservation, forestry, or environmental sensitization or education. So they help in that role as well. So in your subsequent program, I'll encourage you to collaborate with other NGOs in the Gambia, CBOs, so that you can have more strength and it becomes more collaborative effort. And I'm also running an NGO in the Gambia called the Wildlife Conservation Trust. We would like to partner with you one time. If you want to do any other activity, you can let us know. And then we have other organizations as well that can support you in your activities. If we are aware of what you want to do, then we can collaboratively join together and do things, in a well more coordinated manner. Yeah. So thank you so much, Day. Good to hear from what you are doing, and then keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Ndeye and Ibrahima. Definitely, we really appreciate your time getting on this show today, this talk show today. You have a great initiative that you started, and definitely keep it going. It is very, very important. And thanks to Farmer for all the advice and all the suggestions as well. We really appreciate it as usual, very much. I will just add one thing to that before I talk in terms of funding. I don't know if the USAID is still there. I know during the 1994 coup, after the 1994 coup, when Jammeh and his gang took over our country by force, military force, U.S. government is against that. They tried to and make them go back to democracy by getting elections and soon. And if that didn't happen, their condition was they're going to pull out USAID, United States Agency for International Development. Their office was in Lehman Street in Banjul, and they did took off. They closed that office and left because of the military government. I'm not sure if they are back there, but that's another agency you may want to contact. If they are there, you can try that through the U.S. Embassy and see if you can get some funding, because USAID was doing a lot of fundings for Gambia in different projects, and that's one of the things that they will do, definitely. So check with the U.S. Embassy first and see if USAID is back there. If they're back there, that is the place to go to, and you may get some funding from them as well. So with that said, I'm just gonna talk a little bit here in terms of environmental compliance here, because environment is very critical, and Farmer has said quite a bit of this here on this talk show here when it comes to environment. It's very critical to me because I know the environmental rules and regulations in the United States here, and that's why I said a couple of years ago when I talk on my forum on my platform, about environment, one of the things I said is, was if I were a president, even though I'm not running for presidency, but if I were to be a president, the very first things that I'm going to do is sign executive orders. And 3 executive orders that I'm going to sign, one of them is I'm going to immediately stop any commercial fishing. For all these Chinese and Senegalese people fishing in our country, I'll stop them, because there's a lot of environmental violations that they're causing there, and they're not cleaning it up. It's not fair for them to cause all of those damages and have our own people to go clean that. No, I will stop them. If I were a president, the first day in office, that would be one executive order I'll pass and say, stop. And then we're going to investigate, reevaluate all of that, and then see what we need to do from there. But it will stop. Second one I'm going to stop is the sand mining. The sand mining that's happening there. Where is all that money going? I don't know, but that will be another thing I will stop immediately. And then so we can investigate and look into all of that. And where's the money going? Is it coming to the government? How much are we getting? And all of that before that can resume. The third one I would sign is, this will all be one day. The third one I would sign would be the deforestation that they're causing in our country. People are going and cutting down trees and shipping them to China or wherever they are, and leaving us with nothing but bare, empty lands. And trees are very important. Forestry is very important to our environment. Trees really protect us from a lot of things. So part of the reason why Gambia is too hot, we kill all the trees. Trees create shade. Trees block carbon dioxide and brings oxygen to us. All the pollution that comes, the trees can block all of those from entering our places. In fact, survey shows that if you build a house in your compound and you surround your house with a bunch of trees, chances are your place will be much cooler than the average place. And if you have air conditioning, the trees will cut down the usage of air conditioning because of the cool breeze that the trees provide, and all of that. There's a lot of reasons for trees, and we should not be allowing anybody to cut our trees out and going away, taking them and selling them somewhere else. We're creating a lot of damage to ourselves in our country, and all of these need to really stop. So that's why I said, I'm not running for president, but if I were to run for president and win, that would be one of the first things that I want to sign into law to make sure that these completely stop because they are damaging our environment for us. And there's a lot more. There's a lot of environmental damage happening in the country. If I think about all the things that I used to teach here on environment, even the gas stations in the country, there are environmental laws that they need to follow. And I don't think that's happening, because if you look at all the other things that are all the violations in our country, you go to a gas stations, I don't know who even looks after them, but there are certain things that they should be required to do, to avoid not only pollution, but avoid any possible contamination from their underground storage tanks, what we call UST. UST is underground storage tanks. That's where the fuel trucks drop fuel, and that's what supplies the gas station, with fuel. So they need to be inspected. There are environmental laws for that as well. They need to do tank testing. They need to make sure there's calibration. They need to know that they calibrate their pumps to make sure that they are giving what they advertise. The amount of fuel being pumped out of the pump calibrates and versus what really is being sold to the customer. All of those need to be done. There's a lot of things that needs to be looked into. There's something called vapor recovery. Vapor recovery, I used to teach this in the environmental class as well. Gas stations create pollution. They also, all the fuel fumes that go in the air that we breathe, the air that we breathe should be pure oxygen, but sometimes it get polluted with all the fume from fuel. That's why there's in the United States, there's a vapor recovery law. And this law is a regulation that protects the environment. And there are two stages. There's a stage 1 and a stage 2. Stage 1 is when the truck drivers go to deliver fuel into gas stations tank. They're supposed to connect two hoses. One hose gets the fuel from the truck tanker into the underground storage tank, and the other hose is also connected to capture the vapor from the truck and put it in the underground storage tank, so nothing goes out in the air. See, stage two. There are certain states in certain states in the United States that has to be stage 2. Stage 2, the vapor is recovered at the tank from the nozzle. There are specific nozzles, bigger nozzles that have certain covers that has to be from the pump to the car. So when once the tanker truck drop fuel into that tank with the stage 1 and the stage 2, the type of nozzle that they use for these also, it's a specific nozzles that also captures the vapor and allows the vapor to go back into the vehicle's tank rather than in the air. So all of these, there's a lot about environment and there's a lot about environmental compliance, but I know Gambia, we're not there yet. The most serious things that we're dealing with right now, we need to focus on is that the Chinese damage to our environment. Chinese are causing a lot of damage to our environment. I remember Farmer talked about this too, and talked about environment in general a lot in there as well. But these are things that I just want to shed a little light on. And, hopefully we have change and we have a new government that's going to look into our environment and protect our environment so we can have a better living condition in our country. Thank you all. I appreciate what you guys said and what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cisse.
Mr. Swane, are you on? I know you're muted. You may be talking offline.
Yeah, now you can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So what I was saying was that I know you guys have made some, important points in this discussion. You have highlighted a lot of things about the environment. I was just listening, and I don't even know where to add or where to put my 2 cents in this. But I would just say this: the environmental issue in the Gambia is really an issue. We have so many areas that we need to factor when discussing the environment. First, I will just talk about the waste. If you look at, KMC, where I reside, Latrikunda, I took a tour there 2019. I went with Mayor Bensouda's secretary, Lamin Sisi, I believe. So we drove over there, and I've seen some people living, building houses where there were garbage, like a dumping place. And I said, how can people live here? He said, these people they've been living in this community. The kids are playing where you would see water under the dumping space, dumping ground, and then it will look like normal. I said, this is not good. Even if these people don't have money, they should relocate. That part of Latrikunda, you can see Banjul from there. It looks like the coastal water. The water coming from the river around Banjul kind of eroded, and then it was eroding some of the soil. And you can see kids playing with, sticks, and then this dumpster stuff, and then people build houses there because it's their land. So first, I think what should have been done, I know it's Mother Nature. There should be some kind of like a sea barrier or some kind of fence. I don't know how to do this. I'm not a designer or an architect, but there should be something that could prevent the water coming towards people's land, because this has caused these people to stay there with the dumping. With garbage that they've been dumping for years, and then in their compound, and then kids are playing around those things. Very unhealthy. I even took some pictures there with the secretary, and then it was really, really touching. So I don't know what we have to do, but the life of our people is very important. We need to kind of find a way for us to stop this massive water erosion that would make people lose homes. And we also need to relocate these people, perhaps find them someplace where they could reside without having to, suffer. So I think KMC mayor is doing a lot in trying to make those places clean, and then trying to see how inhabitants there can live in a healthy life. But it's really disturbing. I took a tour to Abuko, not Abuko, to Bakau. We went to see and this is also about the environmental tour I was doing. We went to see Kachikala, where the crocodiles were. But the time that I drove towards the gate, I could see a smell of garbage, Korodinko, waterways that has never been cleaned. I said, what is this smell? I feel like, getting blown out of, I feel like vomiting, or I feel like, like sick. And the secretary who was driving me told me, listen, this is because of there's no water movement. The Korodinko, the waterway that they throw stuff in, gets stuck. People are sitting under that slab, the concrete slab. They're sitting on it drinking attire and living like that. It becomes normal to them. I was like, what? He said, these people lives like for years. I was like, this is unbelievable. Why are we getting ourselves sick? So we happen to open up the slab, the concrete slab, and what I saw with my eyes was, unbelievable. There was a residue of garbage with mud water inside those waterways called Korodinko. There was no movement of any sort of water. It looks like those places, that things get stagnant there. People throw in water, rainwater comes, it goes in there. People throw their stuff in there. And mosquitoes, that's how we get mosquito problem in the Gambia, because mosquito breed around those kind of environment. So in other words, we have so much environmental issue. It's not even about having to talk about, trees and so forth. Environment is a huge area. And the reason why I was interested in going around those areas is because I want to also pay my quota, trying to improve Gambian, environment, like you guys are doing. You guys are doing an awesome job. So I was trying to see where I can also contribute through my foundation. So that was the reason why I went to see this place. And I was able to liaise with KMC, Mayor's office, to try to look at least start from home, which is KMC, and try to see how we can navigate through. But just to commend you guys, Youth Against Environmental Degradation, you guys are doing a wonderful job. I know this is a very big area. You are cleaning the beach sites, you are planting trees, you just need to have a focal areas and then look for funding for those. I know it's not easy. When you are doing this kind of work, it's not easy because you need money. But if you come with a plan, a proposal, that will help people understand what are your aims and objectives. Then perhaps you will get some funding, and also you will be focused on getting result oriented. Yeah, but I think environment is so huge that myself, I saw it with my eyes and it was unbelievable. I mean, perhaps the time that I was living in the Gambia, all these things are happening. But now that I see the other side of the world, I can relate to how dangerous these things are to our health. And then recycling. Recycling is also something that Gambia, we don't do. Anytime you see someone eating something, the next minute is thrown in the street. If we can encourage and educate people about recycling, having to pick up stuff and put it in the garbage, and find a way not to be throwing things on the street will help a lot. Because once you try to pollute your environment by putting things there and people are not cleaning up, especially in the sandy environment where there are sand, it becomes really toxic, because those things will decay and then it might create some thing in the atmosphere or within the ground. So I know the KMC area I can speak about because that's where I live. They've been looking into sanitation, getting some trucks, and then also kind of seeing how they can have, each home kind of find a way to recycle their garbage. And that is a step, forward, and it's also a good, progress on their part. But I think individuals should take responsibility as well. Get your garbage, situate it properly. And if the garbage truck hasn't come to pick up your garbage, take it upon yourself, allocate some funding and find, even a donkey cart or some kind of ways to dispose your garbage so that you can have a healthy environment, and then we don't have to, breed diseases. So these are the things that I want to communicate towards the environment. I know there are things like fishery areas where the Chinese are polluting our environment. There are, areas where, we're having so much problem. And then of course you have tree planting, you have, house, reforesting, you have, people building houses all over the map. All these things has to do with environment. But just for my concern right now is having to deal with the waste. And KMC has a waste that's close to my house, that waste dumpster. I'm always encouraging the mayor and folks there to find a solution for that, because that is really bothering people, residents like myself. When I go there, I cannot even, every time there's a fire burning there, the place is, the environment is, very, very toxic. Yeah, so that's what I want to add to this conversation. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sawane. Thank you, Mr. Sise. What you've said are very, very relevant when it comes to environmental protection and human safety as well. Looking at your tour, going around from Latrikunda to Bakau and then seeing so many waste or garbage on the streets or at the gutters is very, very pathetic. But environmental issues definitely require integrated approaches. Sometimes, we believe that governments are responsible for certain things, but we as citizens or as normal citizens, just private citizens, we are also responsible. We all have a quota to play in making sure that our environment is well protected, is safe for everybody. As you narrated the issue at Bakau, definitely that shows that the people around that vicinity are not responsible in making sure that their gutters are cleaned up. And sometimes they are the very people who are responsible for dumping those waste in those gutters. Waste management doesn't require people to come from elsewhere to come and manage your waste. You are the one using something and then turning it into a waste. You don't need it anymore. Then obviously it becomes a waste for you. So you should find a solution in making sure that it is managed. Put it in perhaps a trash bin or somewhere else, and then find something or somewhere to carry it for you to another place. It's definitely very serious in this country. Although I've never been to any country, I've never been to Senegal, Mosho, or other parts of the world. So, but what I believe in is, hence we are the polluters, then we should also manage. Our mere presence on Earth is a pollution itself, as some people believe. But the resources that we use in turning them to waste, we should also find a way of managing them. If we do not have the capacity to recycle them, then we should find a way of controlling them so that they are easily carried from your area to another environment where it would be kept there without causing more.
You're muted. You're muted.
Interruption. We don't have to just focus on humans. We have to focus more on biodiversity, because that would involve every species on Earth. And then our focus as used against environmental degradation is also making sure that our biodiversity is protected. So having waste in your home, not being recycled, you don't need to dump it in gutter. If the waste are being dumped into the gutters, then obviously there won't be any proper flow of water during the rainy season. Where else do you think the waters would go? They would pollute your environment, provide breeding grounds for mosquitoes, therefore, exposing yourself to sickness and other diseases. This is very, very bad for our health. So this is why, I said environmental problems require integrated approaches. We have to involve so many stakeholders. We don't have to just leave everything in the hands of government or municipalities. Currently, KMC is doing a lot, and they are doing extremely well when it comes to environmental protection. They have provided, trucks that would carry waste and make sure that, look at what they are doing at the dump site. They are turning it into something. Just go around Bakote. If you read the history of that area, or you talk to people about the history of that area, 50 years ago, there were nobody around that area. So it was reserved for waste to be dumped there. In the Gambia, we don't have recycling centers. We only have dump sites, and these are open dump sites. But now people are even encroaching that site. I think Cisse mentioned some, I don't know whether it was you or Cisse who mentioned a place like, I don't know, Latrikunda, very close to Banjul, something like that. Look at that place too. I think we have to read the history of the place. Going there, what was happening at that place? Was it very close to the river, or was the erosion very common there, or was the erosion being influenced by human activities because of our habitation at that area? These are things that we need to consider in order to put up better policies. I'm sorry, I'm very close to the road. In order to put up better policies and make sure that they are highly, enforced in our communities. in our community so that everybody is responsive to the demands of those policies. But this is not happening. We just have mere policies in our systems, but they are not being enforced. So it's just pathetic. The Gambia, we have a long way to go. I think we have to do a lot, but by volunteering and doing so many other activities, I think we can educate people about certain things. Look at the plastic ban. The use of plastics was banned in this country, but currently it's too common. It's not being enforced. People are not, forced to do it. Sometimes you have to force people to do it, but that would involve, authorities stand. As Mr. Cisse said, if he were the president, what he would have done, he would stop the Chinese and the Senegalese from fishing in this country. That would help, increase the number of fish in our oceans. But currently, we allow them to just exploit our resources, leaving the poor average Gambians to survive in abject poverty. This is not helping us. We should not leave our resources to be just exploited by anybody and at anyhow. We should focus more on making sure that the future is considered. Prosperity is very, very important, and environment is always focused on today and future. That's why we always say sustainable development. How would there be any sustainable development if tomorrow is not catered? There cannot be that. Sustainable development will never be attained if tomorrow is not catered, because we are talking about today and tomorrow when it comes to sustainable development. Thank you. This is what I have regarding your observations and what you have seen from those presents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manjam. Very good, very good. I wanted to ask Dave because environmental protection, especially waste management, the women are always into that very much, especially in our houses, in our compounds. We have the women doing all the cleaning. So the more they know about how to separate waste and where to dump what, it will make it more easy. So they, as a woman or as a lady in this organization, and also I'm sure you are engaged in some cleaning exercise at home. And one of the things that we want to encourage in Gambia that is not there is separating waste. Where the recycle go, where the things that's supposed to be gone. People have some backyard, dump yard sometimes in our compounds, which we use as a dump site or whatever. But sometimes it's important that, people know how to separate waste, because sometimes when we clean our compound yards, sometimes we remove a lot of sand as well, and in the long run, you'll find out that we are even removing so much sand in the area. At the end, when the rainy season comes, erosion can even affect those places. So they, as a woman, I don't know how you feel about what is your understanding about waste management, even in our household. And then before you go to that, next week we're organizing a capacity building program with a Greenpeace International. Greenpeace, I'm sure you know, is an international environmental NGO, and then but the West Africa office is based in Dakar. So we're doing a capacity building to help environmental NGOs to do activism, and then also how to do environmental advocacy. Unfortunately, I didn't know about the organization. We already prepared our list of about 17 organizations that we invited, and the training is going to be on the 6th and 7th of November. So with the tight budget, we didn't put so many environmental NGOs. We didn't invite as many. So I didn't know about you guys, but with permission of Sawane, maybe before they comes in, or maybe when they answer my question, I will call Mustafa Mane, who is an environmental journalist, but also he works for an environmental organization called Their Voice Must Be Heard. And then probably he can tell us a couple of minutes about the capacity building coming up. And then just to get more understanding. Hopefully in the future, we'll have your organization included as well when similar trainings are happening. So Sawane, I don't know whether they can answer, then I can get a couple of minutes to Mustafa to talk about that with your permission. It's entirely up to yourself how we do it, or maybe we can do it at a later part of the program when it's about to end. But I just want to talk about this capacity building that Greenpeace is organizing in the Gambia. It's a fantastic opportunity, but unfortunately, due to limited resources, we cannot invite all the environmental NGOs or community-based organizations to that meeting or capacity building.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, go ahead, Nde. You can come in here. I think we can.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, Nde, isn't Nde there? Nde, can you hear us?
She is muted.
She's muted, right?
Yeah, but I think when you're muted, you can still hear, right, Sam?
Oh yeah, you can still hear. Yep.
Yep.
You can just talk. Maybe she need to be unmuted. Let me see.
Right.
Maybe is she talking?
Hello.
Yes. Now we can hear you.
I'm still having issues with network.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Did you hear what Mfamara said, right?
No, I didn't get it well.
Okay. Okay, so what I was saying, we're talking about waste management here, and then I think Sawane talked about it, and also Manjang talked about the dump sites in KMC. So like I was just asking you as a woman or as a lady in this organization, but also in our compounds, the ladies are usually doing all the cleaning exercise at home, and I don't know what's your understanding about separating waste at home, and the ones that's supposed to be recycled and not. Women are always in the forefront when it comes to cleaning, domestic cleaning at home, so how do you understand about, cleaning the waste and where to dump our waste, and whether even separating the waste is something that people, know about?
Okay, then I guess women in particular are not very educated, I can say, in waste management, because you can see when it comes to issues at home, you will see a woman would clean everything and gather them together, then throw them. I think that is undone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you, as a human, you should keep separate containers, I guess. And when you sweep to an extent that you are done, keep the dry waste in one container and those that are wet in another container. Yeah, so I think the dry ones can be burned off, or maybe you gather them somewhere and burn them off. But you cannot mix the dry one with the wet one and try to burn them or do something with them. It will just be something else, I guess.
Right. Thank you.
So does that answer, Famara, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then I think a lack of education as well, like they said, is another issue when it comes to, women. Women need to be sensitized about, maintaining household, especially environmental wise, and what are things that can cause, toxin or pollution. Because women are mostly the one who stays at home. Therefore, and then they're almost, the one who cleans after us, even though some of men do clean, but women definitely need to be sensitized more in this area, I believe. Yeah. Go ahead, Pamela.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right.
Yeah, okay. Adding to what they said, I think it would be also ideal you educate ladies about. I'm sorry, my environment is very noisy. Ladies are educated about degradable waste and the non-degradable waste, because looking at the biodegradable waste, I believe that is easy to manage, because some communities are involved, especially ladies are involved in horticultural gardening and other activities, wherein these degradable waste could be used as manures, or can easily compost them with other feces of animals and use them for your organic manures instead of using chemical fertilizers and other stuff. It would help a lot in reducing some waste in our environment. I think that would help a lot.
Excellent. Yeah. Mfamara, I mean, Assam.
Yep, I totally agree. And this is a topic that I've also discussed in the past on my platform. I remember when I was talking, well, there were several times we talked about the healthcare system and talked about the environment and waste management. I remember my recommendations to be solutions for Gambia. What is our solutions is really, I said this back in those years, that the Bakote dump site really should be moved because Combo area is so densely populated nowadays that that dump site does not fit the purpose there. It's not good to be in that place for the people. It needs to be relocated. And that dump site, I remember saying this, that dump site really, if I were the government, I would think about building a brand new hospital there. And with all the necessities, high tech, everything that we need for healthcare, including training centers and training locations there for our centers for our nurses and people that need to practice there as well. Then close RVTH, Serakunda Hospital, transfer all those patients there, and then rebuild those, bring them up to standard. All right. So since we're talking about the waste management, what I mentioned in those days, what I said was, if we close the Bakote dump site, and of course you've got to locate somewhere first before you close it, but what really needs to happen is Gambia government need to locate a better dump site that's completely out of Combo. Okay, and then they can have something called transfer centers. So if KMC, just like what they started, that was something also I recommended a long time ago. What they started is collecting dump from people, with everyone having their own schedule. What day is their trucks are coming to pick dump at your area, and everybody get their dumps out, just like in America here. Everybody get their truck dump bins out. KMC collects them, and their trucks will take them to a transfer center. A transfer center could be outside of Brikama, where is a center that they will transfer all this garbage into other trucks that will take them to the final dumping place. The final dumping place, that's where separations get done. That's where recycling get done. That's where things get separated and put into, like, recyclables be separated from real trash. And they treat them there at a treatment center. That way, there's nothing getting dumped in the Combo area, because the Bakote area is really tight. And to protect our environment, we need to get the dump out of there. Anything from the Bakote and the Kotu area, all of those dump sites need to be taken out. Even the Kotu power station need to be moved. It really is not fit now where we are now. That power station, I heard, is going to move, but it needs to move to a new power plant. That's what needs to happen to help. And that way, this will line up with what Day was talking, what Famara was talking, what Ibrahima was talking, and Sawane, all of you. When women collect their trash from home, do the separation there, and then catch the dump truck. The day that dump truck is scheduled to come to your area, your neighborhood, get all the garbage out, they pick it up, they go straight to Brikama, outside of Brikama, in a transfer center, and drop them there. Other trucks pick it up from there, take it to the waste treatment center. This is what we need to do to clean our environment. Now, on top of that, we also need drainage system, a good drainage system that needs to start in the Combo, from Banjul, Serakunda. All the gutters need to be cleaned out. A whole new drainage system need to be provided, so that there will not be any standing water. When water comes in, even when the rain comes in. In fact, there is a natural draining system and the artificial one. The natural one is, we used to have the waterways. When it rains, water runs on its own. There is a path for the water to run back into the ocean. Well, nowadays, people are blocking all those. We don't even think, I don't know why our what is it called, our fiscal planning I don't know what they're doing there, but allowing people to build homes in the waterway, in the path of the water. So homes are being built there. All of those paths have been closed because people want to build there without thinking about the environment. When it rains, the water needs to run and go and back into and go into the ocean. That needs to happen, or into the river. And on the other side is not only the rainy season, but any waste should be really dumped, should be going into the drainage system on the ground. That should all go to the treatment center. That's long-term plan. That's what is the best solution for Gambia. So we won't have any mosquitoes standing around. We're not creating the breeding ground for mosquitoes, and of course make good and tough laws for people about waste management. This is what's going to protect our environment. Yep. You're muted, Sawani.
That's a good idea, Sam. That's a good idea. Thank you for that. The only challenges I've seen in that thought process is that if you have to pick up from trucks, garbages with trucks, and go to the nearby cities and having another garbage truck pick them, that would cost a lot of time having that been done, because how many trucks do you have KMC has? We have to factor that, and that the labor involved. I think the reason why they have the dumpster is because they want to put together like this garbage at one location, and perhaps they become comfortable having it there, because since, like you mentioned before, people weren't living there, they become a norm. So they should have perhaps used use this technique that you have, like years before people start to reside there. Now, the challenges is that Gambia doesn't have, we don't have the vehicles. And of course, we don't have the skill set to build something that will be, that will kind of take care of this problem. So if you have few trucks, let's say KMC has 13, 15, 20. First of all, the people residing at KMC would have to take their garbage to somewhere. There must be a first stop. They cannot just come and dump it in the truck. The truck, there must be a location. And where do you call that location? That location must also take space. Now, if I live in Bakode, which I do live in Bakode, I will have to walk down to this specific location and dump my stuff. But it cannot be a truck, because after a while, a truck cannot just sit there and wait for us to come and dump. So we must find a place. Yeah. Now, after we locate the place, the thing is, I think what we need to factor here is we have to find a way how the collected garbages are taken further down in the rural areas, where they probably would have a space, where they can be burned out, or they can be processed or recycled. The only problem is like, what is an immediate, access point whereby residents every day can come and have their garbage, placed at a particular area, and then those placed garbages are carried, are taken away and taken, to where they need to be. If you look at the US, I will explain how it's done here. Yeah, they have a lot of trucks. I mean, many trucks. Actually, they have trucks that are located in different areas. So what happened is, when the garbage are collected on a Monday, like Monday garbage are collected, then they will not be collected until Wednesday in New York City here. And then another time they're gonna come around would be on Friday. So you have 3 days in a week. So in my house, I will have 3 dumps, 3 or 4 or 5 garbage bins. So you accommodate them there, tie them, and put it for pickup. If KMC can have that, and other areas. That would be great. Like they schedule it like twice a week. Everybody bring your garbage in front of your door. And we have garbage trucks, and sanitation guys at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning or in the evening, they will come and collect these garbages. So now, if anybody don't bring their garbage, you're probably gonna get fined. Or perhaps if you don't get fined, make sure that you keep your garbage in a way that it will not pollute the environment. So if we do that and collect a little bit fee, a token from the landlords, in order to sustain those trucks, that would be good. But how many trucks can go inside Serekunda? So the roads are not good. My area, if a car even wanna pass there, the car would somersault because the landscape is so eroded. So we have a lot of problems. This could be done if we have maybe 20 trucks in KMC going in and out. And these trucks can carry all these garbages and then perhaps go further down, to even buildable areas, wherever they can go and dump these things and create a dumping ground there where they can be. There's a lot of land there where they can choose in buildable because that's where I'm from. I don't mind, hosting a dumping site, farms or wherever, as long as it is for the common good of the Gambia. But what I'm trying to say, there's a plan, this needs coordination and plan to take care of these garbages from the big cities. So it needs a lot of money to be invested in it. It needs discipline from the residents. It needs accountability, and people have to pay more. People who own homes need to know that they need to pay towards the service. And I believe with that and discipline and education, we can get, this garbage issue around KMC and other big cities resolved. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yep. I think you missed some of what I was saying. I wasn't saying for a truck to sit there. No, what I was saying is, I said what I recommended in the past years, that's what KMC is doing. One, having every neighborhood, in fact, I remember saying this in the WhatsApp audios, every neighborhood need to know, it needs to be announced generally, what day is your truck day? What day is your garbage pickup? Like, for example, here where I am in America here, my garbage pickup is every Monday. So tonight, before I go out, I'll roll my dump bin outside, all trash in the house, make sure it's out, it's in our dump bin. And the dump bin, I'll pull it out of my garage and put it on the street. That's what all neighborhood will do. Because if Gambia, if we really plan this in the KMC area, starting there, that KMC announces, go on the radio and announce and say, every jurisdiction, this is your dump day. London Corner, this is your trash day. Bundung, Talinding, Latrikunda, Bakau, Serakunda, every jurisdiction have their own trash day, to pick up day. People got to trash in their homes and of course separate recycles from the others. And when the day of your truck day, like on a Monday, Sunday night, you get everything out. Monday, the truck comes in on Monday and pick them all up. In every area, the trucks pick everything up. They take them to the dump site, not Bakote. I was saying relocate that dump site, not get it from Bakote. Bakote is not a good area for that. It's too much pollution and too much environmental issues there, hazards in there, which is bad for people. Our health or people's health is more important than the money that's going to spend on it, that they're going to spend on it. So once the trucks pick all of that, they don't go to Bakote, they go towards Brikama. They go outside of Combo and have a dump ground there. That's going to be called a transfer center. They will be dumping all of it in there. And there's only going to be a few trucks that will go to that transfer center also and keep transporting what was dropped there. And those few trucks take it away completely in the middle of nowhere in the country. So wherever the government can allocate and say, this is where we're going to treat all the waste. Okay, so the trucks are only taking it towards Brikama, anywhere in an open area that they can designate and drop them in there, and then come back empty. That's what they're going to do. And this is going to also create jobs. So if we think about it the other way, it's going to create job for the other team that is going to be picking up. Is not going to need 50 trucks. No, you don't need that many. You just need a few trucks that can go, that will have drivers working 24 hours a day, even if it's 5 trucks that are going to be collecting the waste that KMC trucks are dropping over there to transport it to the other place and come back. Transport and come back, transport and come back. They're 8-hour shift, they're done, they get off, next shift comes in. That way, that place will never be overloaded. So if they do it this way, everyone knows when their collect trash day is. They put their trash out, people put their trash out, the KMC trucks come and collect it, they go out of town to just around Brikama, not too far. If they can locate a place where they can dump temporarily, and that will be called a transfer center. It's not going to be where the trash is finally treated. It's just a place to dump, and then the other trucks pick it up from that dump site, that transfer site, and take it to the final destination. So that's kind of like what I was saying, and that will really help our country. It will help us, and then the Bakude dump site could be utilized for something that will be better for us. Like I said, example, a first-class hospital. That's just one area. One thing that I suggested can be built there with all kinds of things that we need. So no one from Gambia will have to leave Gambia to go to Senegal for treatment, because everything you need in the United States here will be in that hospital. Everyone can be treated. They have good doctors and nurses and trained nurses that can be there. Then transfer all the patients from Serakunda, Banjul, and all these dirty hospitals in the area, put them in the new hospital. Completely level Banjul Hospital and the Serakunda ones, clean them all out, build a better facility for people, so that healthcare will be given priority. I mean, we're giving priorities to, if you look at Gambia's budget, they're giving priorities to things that should not be a priority. They're spending money on things that they shouldn't be spending money on. If you look at the State House budget, the budget for the State House is more important than anything else in the country. I mean, that should be the State House work for people. People vote for the president, to elect the president to put in there. How come the president can spend more money than anybody else? That should not be happening. We need to refocus and reprioritize what's important for the whole country. That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Thank you, Sam. I think that is, I got your point. Yeah. Thank you. Vamara.
Excellent, Sam. Yeah. Sam, thank you so much. You really made a very good point there, because if you look at the environmental budget, it's really very small, and usually, it's not even much to protect our biodiversity. Currently, we have about 66 forest parks in the Gambia since the signature of Banjul Declaration in 1977. Some protected areas like Abuko Nature Reserve has been in existence before the Banjul Declaration. Abuko was established in 1968, and then followed by the River Gambia National Park, which is in CRR, usually called the Baboon Island, which was in the 1970s. After that, by 78, I think after the signature of Banjul Declaration was the second protected area. Now, wildlife has 6 or 7 protected areas, and now also they have some community joint protected areas now. So the wildlife protected areas have also increased, and the forest parks are like 66, which is including some of the state forest parks, the community forest parks. But some of these parks are not even well demarcated. It's even difficult to know some of these parks where they start and where they end. And that is actually exposing them or making them very vulnerable to encroachment by either the communities or either private investors and whatever. So, I mean, for so long, we have these parks open and nobody, some of the parks don't even have much staff at all. You have a big forest park and you see only a handful of people working there, and they don't even have a vehicle. Some of them are patrolling on foot or with a bicycle or motorbike. And sometimes even there's not enough fuel. They give you a small allocation within a week or two, it's all done. So you are not getting any more supplies until the end of the month, or maybe you have to use your own money. So we need to see the budget of environmental sector or natural resource sector improved or increased. Like Sam was saying, we're spending too much on State House, how much to feed the president, of course, yes. that's something responsibility of the nation to make sure that the president feel comfortable, have everything that he need. But I think spending too much, in that office alone, and while other government sectors are struggling, doesn't make a lot of sense. And this is where the problem is. Now, just last week, we see Tough City has laid a foundation stone for a mega city called the Tough City. All right. Now, look at that project example, how big it is. The area around Gunjur Sifo area, these are highly ecological sensitive areas, very good in biodiversity conservation. But Tough went through environmental impact assessment. Did people, what's going to happen with the vegetation that is going to clear out, and how is that going to contribute toward our national vegetation cover, percentage? So these are some of the things that is really destroying. The real estates are also contributing a lot on environmental degradation right now. And it looks like nobody is controlling them. Nobody is seeing what they do. Because when you, a real estate company doing anything, I think they need to go through that system whereby, they have to get approval, before they can even start selling plots. Whenever they earmark something to be allocated for accommodation, they need to go through that forms, just like the way they go to physical planning and Department of Ministry of Local Government and Lands to get their document. I think environmental issues also need to be on the checklist there, just to make sure, before you even start doing anything, people had the opportunity to go and look into that area. Whether we have critical species that are endangered, utilizing that habitat. And if so, and we have to go ahead with the housing development, then we need to make sure that the company or the real estate company is wholly accountable for the environmental degradation that they are doing in that area. If you cut 1,000 trees, we need to make sure you plant 5,000 trees in replacement of what you are cutting down. And that money can go into somewhere else to support youth organizations like the Youth Against Environmental Degradation. That means there are efforts somewhere else. We can go to North Bank in Badibus, whereby the vegetation cover is very little in those areas, so that the destruction we are doing in Kato can help the people in Badibu to look after their environment, because that's where the impact of climate change is affecting the local communities very much. So this is very, very important. Our forest parks are now becoming very surrounded. They're becoming an island now, because all communities are now surrounded by forest parks, and then because of land grabbing going on, real estate companies are now going into the wild areas now, trying to grab land as much as they can, sell those lands for housing development purpose without, considering the impact they are doing to our environment and our vegetation cover. So these are very issues, and I hope the next government will definitely prioritize environment, because we have seen political parties now campaigning, but I don't see much of them putting environment as a priority in their 5 points or 10 points or manifestos or their agendas. So this means either they don't aware of environmental issues, or maybe it's not their priority. So it is our responsibility, every youth organizations in the Gambia that are into environmental, to advocate this in their political, activities, talk to the politicians, decision makers, that whatever you're doing, because they, at the end of the day, they make all decisions of who come to invest in the Gambia. And the government also involved in allocating land to these areas without, thinking how this, their activities is going to have impact on our environment. So I think that's very, very important, Sawale.
Thank you. Thank you, Famara, for that insight. I think that this would be definitely a priority that everyone should look into. Mr. Manja, what are your final takes on this? Mr. Manjang, can you hear us? So Mr. Manjang seems to be not hearing us. Ndey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. So what we're trying to wrap this up. And then Famara would have a few minutes from Famara to suggestion. Yeah. So, but what is your final take on this? You and Ibrahim Manjang, if you guys can just give us your final.
Yeah, about environmental protection, I guess youths also have a huge role to play in that. Yeah, not just the government, but the youths as well. Because we can sanitize this in schools, even at homes, or even in our organizations. Like in home, we can try to educate people about how do I put this? In homes, we can exercise our children to be more environmentally friendly. What I mean by environmentally friendly, something that cannot be harmful to the environment. We can try to educate our children about that. And also in when you talk about in government level or in organizations level, we should try to educate the youth should also try to educate people about how to keep the environment clean. That should be our number one concern. Educate them how to do that. For example, tell them the importance of keeping the environment clean, like the disposal of waste products.
Right. Hello, can you hear us? Day.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. And in school also, in school level, we are teachers, and I know even if we are not teachers, we youths, we should sanitize the students and also the teachers to minimize the impact of campfires. That is the burning of fires, because we know the burning of fires on the ground can also be harmful to the soil. So we have to try, if they cannot put a stop to it, at least they can minimize it. Yeah, that is my advice to teachers or the youths as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Manja, are you there?
Yes, I'm around. No.
Yeah. Okay. So your final take on this.
Yeah, my final say as Mr. Famara was saying, I think the whole issue would involve an integrated approach, and this would help. This would be done by making sure that the law enforcement agency of the Gambia, that is the police, have an environmental unit who are very much aware of environmental laws of this land, so that they are fully enforced to the latter. And besides that, we need to educate each other about biodiversity, their effects once they are being degraded, once they are being depleted on our environment. There are effects that they would have on us as human beings. And we also need to encourage each other in protecting and preserving these resources that are available within our environment. Because looking at the population growth of this country, it is increasing exponentially. And Gambia as a country is very small with very limited resources. So therefore, utilizing them judiciously would help in making sure that our future is safeguarded from climate extremes and events. Yeah, we Farmer talked about North Bank region. We've had an idea. We even planned to go to North Bank for our tree planting exercise, but unfortunately, it wasn't materialized due to some issues. And we hope next year it will be part of our agenda, because we have an objective of launching a million trees. We have an objective of launching a million trees for a period of 5 years. This project that we have in mind, we want to launch it maybe in January. We wanted to launch it in this month, next month, that is November 20th. But unfortunately, looking at the political atmosphere of this country, we said, now let us postpone it till maybe January, when the atmosphere is okay, then we can launch our tree planting of 1 million tree planting objective for a period of 5 years. And this, having heard a lot from Pamara and you, Sawane and Civic, I think we will focus more on North Bank area being the most vulnerable region in the whole country to drought and climate events. So I think that would help a lot in building resilience to the communities in that region. But nonetheless, environment as a whole, we all have a role to play. We all need to do our quota and safeguard our resources and our environment from being destroyed by any activity, either by us as citizens or residents of this country or by foreign investors. We should all do a lot, you know. Looking at this country, we have the laws, but enforcement also is another big deal, you know. So therefore, the authorities, I think we need to call on their attention to make sure that the laws that they put in place, they fully enforce them to the latter. You need to force people sometimes to make sure that, you know, they carry out certain things. So as executives, you know, or as law enforcement agencies, they need to be aware of those laws. They need to be aware of those laws. Who are responsible for making them aware? Well, I don't know, but I think, you know, the law enforcement agencies should be aware of the laws, environmental laws, and we should have an environmental unit within the police force who would be, you know, fully enforcing the environmental laws, you know, making sure that there is no shortfall in any of the environmental laws implementation in this country. Thank you. That's what I have, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important point. Thank you so much, Mr. Manjang, which is the enforcement by having a unit in the police department. I think that is very important. That's a key thing there. I don't know whether you guys agree, but that is my take on that. Yeah. So Sam can come in and you can.
Yeah, I'll just say a final thing to wrap up here. But my final word here is, you know, in every country, there is Environmental Protection Agency, and that agency is given the power to enforce the laws. And unfortunately in Gambia, not only Environmental Protection Agency, but even the police are not enforcing the laws. There's so many laws that they're not being enforced. So that's why to me, I want to hold the government accountable. The government need to take the lead here, set the stage, create the infrastructure, review the laws and amend them if necessary, and have the environmental protection agencies enforce it, or give them the power, the authority to even shut down the Chinese. In America, they don't need to call the government or Inspector General of Police or anybody here. If an environmental, even just a local health department goes to your restaurant and see a very critical violation, they can shut you down. Just that easy. They don't need to call anybody. They can just shut you down. Same thing with environment. If you have environmental violations, they come and inspect. They give you citations. First time you get a warning. Second time you get those citations. And then maybe third time they come, you still haven't fixed the same thing, because they will give you like 30 days to fix it. If you don't fix it, they come back, they give you hefty fines. The next time they come in, the fines double and you have to pay them. If the violations are so critical to a point where it needs to be shut down, they close you. They put their big stickers on your door. They let everyone know in the community, this place has been shut down because of environmental violations. They shut you down. And in the United States, environmental laws are very, very, very tough. There are certain violations that can be up to $50,000 per day per violations. Can you imagine how that can ramp up very quickly? If you go for a whole week without fixing your problem, that's a lot of money. That's the law, and it's being enforced. We need to have that kind of enforcement in the country. And our government need to take the lead and set the stage for the youths to be able to follow. The youths can only do so much. They don't have any money. They don't have any tools. They don't have any resources. They're begging for help. Government has the money. Taxpayers are paying their money there. The government needs to take the lead and help them and get the stage done so people can follow. Go on television and tell people. Of course, there should be education and ongoing education throughout, so people understand what to do and what not to do. Even littering, people should not be throwing piece of paper on the street, cigarettes on the street, and things like that. All of those are things that we can narrow down to. But at the end of the day, the government need to take the lead for the youths to follow and for the women to follow, and all the volunteers and the non-government agencies to follow. and help protect our environment. So it's the role of the government, and we cannot take that off of them. Yep, that's all I want to say. Thank you all for all your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Farmer, your final words.
I'll get Mustafa to come in. Just a couple of minutes just to talk about that capacity building. I think that will be my final, basically, to thank them. Yeah, Mustafa. Mustafa, how are you? So welcome to the New Gambia platform. We are just wrapping up our session right now. I thought maybe you talk a minute or two about the capacity building that's coming up on the November 6th and 7th, organized by yourself in collaboration with the Greenpeace West Africa office in Dakar. So I have Mr. Sawane here, who is the host for this program, and Sam Sise is a co-host, and myself. And we also have representatives of Mr. Manjang and Dejata from the Youth Against Environmental Degradation. So they are listening to you, they are watching right now. So can you tell us a little bit about that capacity building coming up?
Thank you so much, Farmer. And the capacity building, as you noted, is an event that we have been doing for more than a year now. Because what happened is, I have been telling Greenpeace that in our fight to stop piecemeal exploitation in West Africa, especially the Gambia, the activists need to be trained, because most of us are doing activism because of passion, because we are affected. But emotional control is an issue, and this is when the government usually grapple and gives this opportunity. So training us to have what we call a non-violence and also build the movement will really reduce that risk of being arrested, and we will be trained on how to control ourselves when we are sharing Greenpeace tips, because Greenpeace have been known for their non-violence activism, even though they can be radical sometimes, but they are always abiding the laws of the land that they are operating. So this is why they are coming to the Gambia, to train the activists on how to do activism, how to do non-violence protest, and also how to unite and organize a united front against this environmental issue, particularly piecemeal, which have been destroying our marine resources for almost five years now.
Very good. So how many organizations are we expecting in this capacity building?
We are expecting 17 organizations in this capacity building, and the capacity building is going to 70 people is going to benefit, and these 70 people will actually be having what we call GOT, training for trainers, which will actually amplify the voice and again train other organizations, because we have a lot of organizations in Gambia that are fighting against environmental degradation or environmental damage, but yet not all of them can be fit due to COVID-19 and also the financial issue. So, but these people who are trained will definitely extend the knowledge that they learn to the other organizations that are not fortunate enough to attend training.
Very good. And then what's the date for the training again?
Pardon?
Where is the venue and then the dates for the training?
The venue is going to be at Dalaba Lodge between Gunjur and C4.
Mm-hmm.
And the date is going to be on the 6th and on the 7th.
6th and the 7th.
And the training will start at 9 and it will end at 5 p.m.
Very
and
good.
The lunch and the breakfast will be provided.
Very good. Yeah, so Mustafa, that's it basically. I know we'll try and bring you up in one of our programs on environment, so you can also talk about this. Probably we'll choose a weekend, then you can give us a synopsis of this capacity building and what you have achieved so far and things like that. So I'm sure I'll work with Sawane. Probably will get you on one time on this program, so you can also talk about what you're doing in Combo South, and in the Gambia as a whole. I know you are a journalist, you are an activist, in various capacities, and you have a lot of knowledge and experience working with local communities. So hopefully we'll bring you here one Sunday, and then we can hear from you as well.
Thank you so much, Farmer. That will be a pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Farmer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Over
Thank
to you,
Farmer.
Mr. Sawane.
Yes. Sam, what do you think? It's a good idea. Very good.
Absolutely. Great idea. And Farmer, thank you for, coordinating all this. Thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I think we have been on top of the hour, and we can just say thanks, folks from Ndejata and Ibrahim Manjang for coming up, representing youths against environmental degradation. Thank you, Mfamara, being a co-host and contributing. And also thank you, Sam, for being a co-host and contributing here every weekend.
Thank you very much, Sawane.
Thank you all. And you all have a great weekend, or at least great Sunday.
Sunday, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you too, Sam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you, Ibrahim.
Yeah.
And thanks,
Ibrahim and Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ibrahim and Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Sam.